Good morning. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. I hope everyone had a good New Year, and welcome to our first Churchill County Commissioner meeting of the year. With that, we'll move to 2A, swearing in ceremony and administration of oath for newly elected positions. Matt Hyde, Commissioner District 1, Eric Blakey, Commissioner District 3, Benjamin D. Trotter, Justice of the Peace, New River Township, Wendy Bullock, Greg Malkovich, and Catherine Whitaker and Celeste Blakely, Churchill County School District, and David Brown and Marion Jonette, Mosquito Vector and Noxious Weed Abatement District Board. With that, I'll pass it off to Linda.
Good morning and congratulations, everybody. We will be swearing you all in, and the Honorable Tom Stockard will be actually doing the swearing in today, so we'll get that all organized for you. I will be calling your name to come up and be sworn in, and then after you're sworn in with Honorable Tom, then you can come see me at the table where I'll be sitting, and then I'll have you sign your oaths.
With that, we'll start with Matt Hyde, Commissioner District 1.
Morning. I need days. Getting old. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Matt Hyde,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of
of
Nevada
the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same.
to the same.
Any ordinance,
Any ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Churchill County Commissioner
of the office of Churchill County Commissioner
on which I am about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. This is yours. Is there?
We'll move to Eric Blakey, Commissioner District 3.
And do we want to make sure they get a chance to take a photo before they?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have anyone here? Okay. I state your name.
I, Eric Blakey,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States,
and the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada
of the state of Nevada,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same.
to the same.
Any ordinance,
Any ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law,
of any state notwithstanding,
any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
I will well and faithfully perform
all of the duties of the office of Churchill County Commissioner,
all the office and duties of the Churchill County Commissioner,
to which I'm about to enter.
which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Where do you want to do this?
Wherever you, probably right in front of this. I can be in it or out of it, whatever you want. Okay.
Benjamin D. Trotter, Justice of the Peace, New River Township.
Thanks. I state your name,
I, Benjamin Trotter,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada
of the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance,
allegiance,
and loyalty to the same.
and loyalty to the same.
Any ordinance, resolution, or law
Any ordinance, resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of Justice of the Peace
of
the
the
new,
office of Justice of the Peace of the New River Township Justice Court,
on which I'm about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Ben, do you want to get a picture? Okay.
We'll move on to our first school board candidate, Wendy Bullock.
I state your name,
I, Wendy Bullock,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada
of the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same.
to the same,
Any ordinance, resolution, or law
and the ordinance, resolution, and law
of any state notwithstanding,
any state with not standing,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well faithfully perform
all duties
all duties
of the office of
of the office of
Churchill County School District Trust,
County School District
Trustee.
School Board Trustee,
on which I'm about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Do you want a picture? Do you want a picture? Do you want a picture?
Sure.
Yes.
Greg Malkovich, Churchill County School Board.
Thank you. I state your name,
I, Greg Malkovich,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support,
protect
and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of
of the
Nevada
state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same.
to the same.
Any ordinance,
Any ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Churchill County School Board Trustee,
of the office of Churchill County School Board Trustee,
on which I'm about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Want a picture?
Sure.
Catherine Whitaker, Churchill County School Board.
I state your name.
I, Catherine Whitaker,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
this Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of
of
Nevada
the state of Nevada,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same,
to the same,
any ordinance,
any ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully
and faithfully
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Churchill County School Board Trustee
of the office of Churchill County School Board Trustee,
on which I'm about to enter.
of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
One picture. Here's your. Proves it.
Celeste Blakey, Churchill County School District.
I state your name.
I, Celeste Blakey,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United
of the
States
United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of
of the
Nevada
state of Nevada,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same,
to the same,
any ordinance,
in the ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of trustee of the Churchill County School District,
of the office of trustee of the Churchill County School District,
on which I'm about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One other picture. Let's get the your family. Come on.
I guess.
Yeah.
Come on.
David Brown, Mosquito Vector and Noxious Weed Abatement District Board.
I state your name.
I, David Brown,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada
of the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same,
to the same,
any ordinance,
any ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well
and I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of Churchill County Mosquito Vector Control and Weed Abatement District,
and I will
perform all the duties
I will perform all the duties of Churchill County Mosquito Vector Control and Weed Abatement District,
on which I'm about to enter.
I'm about which to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Pass the test.
Marion Jonte, Mosquito Weed and Noxious Weed Abatement District Board.
Good morning. I state your name,
I, Marion John T.,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of
of
Nevada
the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance,
allegiance,
and loyalty
and loyalty
to the same.
to the same,
Any ordinance,
and the ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, and law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
all of the duties
all of the duties
of the office of,
of the office of
we'll take it smaller, Churchill County Mosquito,
Churchill County Mosquito
Vector Control,
Vector Control
and Weed Abatement
and
District,
Weed Abatement
District,
District,
of which I'm about to enter.
of which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. This is my last time through.
Well, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to everyone and thank you for your service. We'll move on to agenda item 3, the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment? Noting no public, we'll move on to the verification of the posting of the agenda, please.
Pam Moore for the record. The agenda was posted on December 30th between the hours of 1 and 5 at the locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you, Pam. This will be a revised agenda. We're going to table letters received, item C, to January 15th. With that, can I get a motion, please?
Yeah, I'd like to move for approval of the agenda as revised.
I'll make a second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Move on to 7, consideration and possible action, approval of the minutes of the meetings held on November 14th, special meeting to canvass the votes of the 2024 general election, and B, December 5th, 2024. Can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of meetings held on November the 14th, 2024, and December the 5th, 2024.
Can I get a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Move on to appointments. Appointments 8A, consideration and possible action, election of chair, vice chair positions for the Board of County Commissioners, Highway Commission, and CC Communications Management, and designation of board or committee assignments for 2025. Jim?
Mr. Chairman, Jim Barbie for the record, County Manager. I met previously with each of you individually and got an idea from you on what your interests and your priorities were, and per those meetings tried to assimilate, working with Pam, a recommendation of appointments for committees and chairs and vice chairs. So if you would take a couple of seconds and take a look at that, if there are no objections, that motion can be moved to accept that. It is attached to the agenda, If there are concerns, then this is the time that you guys can debate and discuss those. Thank you.
Is there any questions or comments from board or staff? Any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of elected chair, vice chair positions of Board of County Commissioners, Highway Commission, and CC Communications Management, and designation of board or committee assignments for 2025.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. And just for the public record here, that motion is to elect Miles Ghetto as the Commissioner Chair, Eric Blakey as the Commission Vice Chair, Matt Hyde as the Chair for the CC Communication Board, Eric Blakey as the Vice Chair to the CC Communication Board, Eric Blakey as Highway Commission Chair, and Matt Hyde as Highway Commission Vice Chair, and to approve the offices and board committees appointments as stated through December 31st, 2025. With that, 8B, consideration and possible action, Public Administrator Report for 2024. With that, I'd like to introduce Bob Ghetto, our current Public Administrator, and the floor is all yours, Uncle Bobby, or Bob Ghetto, sorry.
Good morning. My name is Bob Ghetto, and I am the Churchill County Public Administrator. With me is one of the two deputies that I have. This is Trampton Souza, and he's one of the sworn deputies to assist me with my duties as the Public Administrator. Mr. Souza takes care of everything that has to do with firearms, anything to do with billing, the monitoring of all the different accounts that we have. The other deputy who's been sworn is Corey Brown. And Corey Brown I've hired to do anything that has to do with DMV. And that's a big, big job, trying to get through the DMV line, trying to get the paperwork right. So together, there is the three of us, all who have full-time jobs. And what we try and do together, the three of us, is work things out to make sure that the position of public administrator is handled correctly and thoroughly. I work with Pam Moore every year to do a in-person meeting, and then we do a written quarter report. But because we have new faces here, and because the crowd is a little bit different today, I thought we'd start at the beginning with public administration and what it is. I am constantly being asked, what does a public administrator do? I have my own dedicated phone lines with a dedicated call center, and the number of calls that come in for road repair are amazing. Down cones on Williams Avenue. I get a lot of questions and comments about mosquito abatement, noise complaints, and that's just part of it. And one thing that I am big on is promoting government accommodation. The reason of that is because I don't feel that when I make calls to government entities, they're very accommodating because they're busy. But I'm always referring to the right department, and so I'm glad that that's kind of a part of the job, but it does work out well. Nevada Public Administration, my real job is to manage the estates of those county residents who pass away without a will or without family, or any other case that's assigned to me for various reasons, because a lot of times in today's society, unfortunately, a person can pass away and the family chooses to not step forward and assist with that case. That's their right to choose not to assist, but when they don't assist, we still have bank accounts that need to be closed. We still have real estate that needs to be dealt with. So between that, the load gets pretty big. Now, in Nevada, there are 17 counties, of course. The legislature is not clear on what public administration does, and I wish it were more clear. We've worked at that a couple of times with our representative through the legislature. Of the 17 counties, 5 of those counties have had an issue over time, and they have the district attorney's office be the public administrator. Those counties are Humboldt, Lander, White Pine, and Lincoln. Now, public administration is not a money-making operation, and for those counties to choose to do that and have them use the district attorney's office, of course, the district attorney needs to factor that into their budgets to make sure that that happens. But that is the best use for those counties, in their opinion. And someday, maybe that'll change statewide. I don't know, but I know that generally, district attorneys don't want to do public administration. Next, we have Story County, which is a standalone, Carson City, which is a standalone county. For some reason, and I haven't researched it, the state constitution says that in Carson City, the clerk treasurer is the public administrator. That has been an ongoing problem for decades now, because that does dramatically affect the operation of the clerk treasurer's office, because there is a lot of activity coming and going, and they constantly revisit that to see how they can handle that. Then we have Lyon County. In the last legislature, our representative in the assembly, or the legislature before, our representative in the assembly and the Senate was able to change the Nevada state law that said that if you have a county that's under 100,000 people, that public administrator's office can be abolished, and that county can bring in an independent public administrator. That's what Lyon County has chosen to do for a variety of reasons, and that is something that maybe statewide things like that can change. I don't know. Each county will have to decide on their own. Another thing that they could do maybe to cover the cost of public administration is to do kind of a district, maybe group 2 or 3 counties together and see if they could handle that way. Because eventually, as society changes, it's going to become a full-time job for somebody. But we're here to talk about Churchill County, and right now Churchill County is going fine. It's going strong with the help of the deputies. The public administrator gets cases assigned to them from a variety of sources. The Churchill County Sheriff's Department will call and say, we have an unattended body. Mortuaries call and say, we have an unattended body, and we believe that this person is a Churchill County resident. I have family members that call and say, we're not going to do a thing. It's very interesting in today's society. There's a lot of families out there where the decedent is either running from the family or the family is running from the decedent. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact that we have to deal with. As those cases come in, then that's when we go ahead and start to determine if this is a full-service case or not a full-service case. A full-service case can be a whole variety of things. Does the decedent have assets? If the decedent has assets, then there is a whole variety of tasks that need to be done, because what we're doing is actually, for lack of a better term, assuming the identity of that deceased person to close out their accounts, to take care of the real estate, to get the vehicles off the street, get those processed and sold. If they have no assets, it's a lot easier, of course, and we'll work with a various affidavit or that type of thing to go ahead and get the few remaining things taken care of. This is where the Churchill County District Attorney's Office, and my assigned person is Attorney Jeff Weed, does a great job of helping me out and getting things pointed in the right direction. Oversight is something that I really try and create my own method of having oversight. I talk frequently with the District Attorney's Office so that we know what's going on, and I try and bring as many pairs of eyes in to watch what I'm doing, because public administration is a public event. I have a CPA or an enrolled agent that I use for every tax return for every client so that we can track money that way. Every single time I have an attorney, a private attorney that will assist. And then, of course, we have the oversight of the district judge. So I think that with all those different eyes watching everything we're doing, I believe we have a really good coverage to make sure that things are done correctly. Firearms are always a big deal. It's amazing the number of firearms that come through the office. Trampton Souza will log those in. Every firearm is, serial number is recorded. And then when it comes time to liquidate that firearm, then that goes through an FFL dealer. So it's always passes through an FFL dealer. So we get that second layer of somebody watching how the process takes care of. The big thing that the county commissioners always want to know about and ask and have the right to is money. How does this office operate? The public administrator's office, the public administrator is one of the few people elected in the state of Nevada that there is no PERS. There is no insurance. There's no salary. There's nothing. You know, school board members get insurance. City council does. District attorneys do. Anybody who's elected does. But that does not happen with public administration. I've never really pushed it, looked into it. All I've ever heard is it doesn't happen. Except in 2 Nevada counties, and that would be Washoe and Clark for obvious reasons. I mean, they have a whole separate building with a staff of 9 or 11 people, and that's a big operation. I don't know how they do it, but public administration is not a money-making event for a county. So how does a public administrator get paid for their time? Well, we first have to take a decedent and we have to figure out what their assets are, if there are any. And then we subtract their long-term liabilities, which is always a bunch. And if there is anything left over, then that can go toward the cost of administration and go toward the cost of paying the attorney. It's hard to get an attorney who wants to know they might not get paid for the services they provide. But we've got 5 or 6 awesome attorneys who I've built a relationship with over the last 10 years, and they do really do help me and this county a lot. If there is assets, then that's a whole different story. When there's not, though, it's a direct drain on the office. We've kind of solved that, not solved it, but we've assisted with the county, because what Churchill County does now is every quarter I bill them for $10,000 per quarter. That $10,000 comes in for my use to use as I see fit, and that $10,000 is used for the rent of the office, for the copy machine and the toner. Trampton and I have a whole variety of software we use because we're kind of good private investigators now, and we look into finding out if there's relatives, if there's not relatives. That software is one of the best ones we have is LexisNexis, which is a whole governmental public software that we have to have my office and our staff. We have to be approved for that. So it goes for that. We burn a whole lot of gas, and so it goes towards gasoline and oil. So because that we get that $10,000 per quarter, that gets the office stabilized so that we can now proceed forward in managing these cases. I did a little bit of research just to see what was happening overall in volume. And over the last 3 years, because that was an easy number for me to pick up with at the end of this year, the office has gone through 102 cases. Not all those cases were full service. If there's absolutely no assets, maybe it's a displaced person who maybe passed away in one of our parking lots, that can go relatively easy. Some of them, though, take 8, 9, 10 months. But we've done 102 cases, and in my opinion, if we can get a good definition of what full service is, 38 of those cases have been full service where we've had to take them all the way through. Now, when they're full service, it's usually an asset that causes it to go full service, so those cases were able to stand on their own for payment. We talk about payment a lot, and people say, well, what do you get paid? And that's a complicated formula that when I try and explain it to people, they more or less think maybe I'm smart mouthing them. But the way it works is, after you take your assets and subtract your long-term liabilities, then you take 4% of that $15,000. If there's $15,000. If there's more, then you take 3% of the next, 4% of the first 85,000, 3% of the next 15,000, and 2% of every 100,000 thereafter. So me and the attorneys, we carefully calculate this depending on how many assets there are. Meanwhile, the statute says that anytime you have to deal with real estate or personal property, we can apply an hourly rate to assist on that mathematical formula. Back in 2019, I think it was, the Churchill County Commissioners got together and they decided that hourly rate was $70 an hour. So we have this 4, 3, 2% formula, and then you can add this $70 an hour for these select services that you proceed. You explain that to people and it's like, okay, my question was, how do you get paid? What do you make? So I did a couple of scenarios here just to try and explain so that at least into the public record, we can get a feel for what a public administrator makes. Let's pretend we have a Churchill County citizen that has $2,500 in the bank, period. And let's say they have a $1,000 car. And let's just say that they are caught up on their bills. Well, for that allotment of service to manage that estate, generally speaking, the public administrator would make between $120 to $200, roughly. Let's say that we have another county citizen who has $10,000 in the bank. He has a $2,000 car. That changes the formula, right, because the numbers are different. The public administrator could make somewhere between $480 to $600 for that estate. Let's move on to a county resident that owns real estate, for example. Let's say they have $50,000 in the bank. Let's say they have a $4,000 car. Let's say they have a $300,000 house. There's no will. There's no family. And let's say there's $2,000 in equity in that. You know, many Nevada residents, your price of your house and your loan balance can be very, very similar. So again, you got to watch those, the income minus the long-term liabilities. If that's the case, then that person would have a net worth of about $50,000 to $60,000. In that case, the public administrator would make between $1,800 to $2,800. What I'm trying to drive home here is, what does the public administrator make? I don't know. It is all over the board. You get what you get, and sometimes you get nothing. Sometimes, though, someone can pass away that might have $300, $400, $500, $600. We've had a couple of $1 million estates. Well, then that's a lot different. And then people say, well, you're making bank there. Well, really what it is like you're using Peter to pay Paul, but there's no other way around it. So that is public administration in a nutshell. I could go on and on and on, and I don't know what our time frame is right now, but I do hope that you guys have a couple of questions you can ask me or Trampton Souza, just because I want you guys to understand what is public administration. So I'm concluded, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ghetto. Any questions or comments from board or staff? I don't think we have any. Do you have one?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Ghetto, you said in 2019 the commission approved an hourly rate of $70 an hour. It's 2025 now. Do you find that rate to still be sufficient, or are you looking to increase that at any time? Or?
You know, that's a good question. I've thought about that a couple of times. You know, in today's society, $70 an hour doesn't cover much. But my fear is, and maybe this is a problem I have, is when you have these marginal estates, you can charge $80 or $90 or $100 an hour, but if the estate doesn't have it, the estate doesn't have it. But for some of these estates that go on their own merit, then 70 is the public administrator's office is the best deal in town. I'm not here today to ask for an increase of that $70. It's never ever changed, but maybe with some type of research, and I can work with the district attorney's office, maybe it needs to be increased, but I'm not looking for any increase in 2025.
Thank you. Do you find that the county provides enough resources for your office? Is there any other resources that we could provide to keep you running as efficient as possible?
The county meets, as of now, the $10,000 per quarter, we just started that in July of 2024 with that thing. With that sequence, it was $7,500. That last change from $7,500 to $10,000 does work well for today, but I just don't know what the bills are going to change like as we move forward with the cost of software and that type of thing. The QuickBooks software, for example, those who use QuickBooks know that feels like it's doubled. For right now, the answer is yes, the county does an awesome job supporting this office, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Trampton, so those, if there's firearms, do those go to public auction, or how do we sell those? I know it goes through an FFL dealer, but who has the option?
In the past, they have gone to public auction, but those estates were quite large. There was hundreds of pieces, different firearms. Typically, an estate will run, a handful of weapons, a dozen or so is common, and they'll go to an FFL who will sell them on his own after that. But it's rare that they go to an auction per se. We did have one just a few months ago. Individual had quite a few, 80 pieces. They were all antique, and we brought a dealer out of Reno who specialized in antiques and had them appraised. I do an appraisal just to give the county and Bob a rough idea of or the court and Bob give the rough idea of what those weapons will bring to the estate. And then it was nice to have this company come out of Reno, do their own appraisals so I could kind of match what I had put together. And then they bought the firearms and liquidated them on their own. So hopefully that answers.
And I want to comment on that for you, because in public administration, it is a constant balancing of money to see what is going to give the best end result. So with our FFL dealer, Trampton appraises retail. We have a check on that retail appraisal. Then we sell the guns wholesale to the FFL dealer. And then he does with them what he wants. Now, I got people say, well, then do this. Sell retail yourself, and that will go out better for the estate. But that's not true, because it takes money, and it costs money, and it costs time to sell firearms. So by the time we get another website set up, by the time we have someone managing this buyer who's going to come along, and it's amazing how many times someone will buy and not show up, and you've got to allow for that time. So by the time you take your hours to sell that gun at retail, you'll find out that you really were money ahead to sell the gun at wholesale.
Yeah.
And we've proved that to ourselves numerous times. Same with vehicles. Vehicles, we have a public auction, and it's all online. We never sell to someone we know. We never sell to a friend. It's always done publicly. But sometimes we'll have to sell a vehicle at wholesale, and in the end, we've come out ahead, because that marketing is super expensive, especially public marketing. So that was a good question.
On firearms, just one last thing. To run a background check on everyone who buys the firearms takes a lot of time and effort, and that's something I think we've decided isn't in our best interest or in the county's best interest. It's better for us just to push them off to another entity to take care of that. So
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, guys. Move on to 8C, consideration of possible action, an application filed by Trevor DeBraga for property located at 11,356 Stillwater Road, 1,225 Swope Lane, and 11,050 Fritz Lane, APN 009-071-07, APN 009-7072-13, and APN 009-072-21, consisting of approximately 212.48 acres with approximately 170.38 acres of irrigated water right of property, whereby the applicant proposes to place a conservation easement on the property. Randy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. Randy Hines, Church County Public Works Director. The subject properties meet the minimum acreage and dust control requirements to qualify as an acceptable sending site, as well as benefiting the community by agricultural preservation with water right retention, protection of military operations, and protection of water recharge area. Based on the transfer of development rights calculations, the total TDRs for the property is 277. The sending site committee reviewed the application on November 18th, 2024, and the planning commission on December 11th, 2024. Both recommended approval of the sending site as well as the 277 TDRs.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve the sending site application for Trevor DeBraga based on providing community benefits of preserving 212.48 acres of farmland with surface water rights, protecting nearby military operations, and protection of water recharge areas. And B, approve 277 transfer of development rights for the same property.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Randy. 8D, first reading, consideration and possible action, Bill 2024-E, Ordinance 71, an ordinance amending Title 13 and 16 of the Churchill County Code to 1, consolidate water dedication requirements within Title 13 of the Churchill County Code, 2, clarify water dedication requirements for all land development, and 3, set payment in lieu of dedication requirements for all land, and 4, designate the purpose of which payments in lieu of dedication may be put. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe Sanford for the record. The Churchill County Code establishes dedication requirements for water rights when property owners are in the process of dividing or developing property. When developing rural parcels, 2 acre-feet of surface water must be dedicated for each created parcel. When creating higher density single-family home developments, 1.12 acre-feet of groundwater must be dedicated per residence. For multifamily residents, 0.56 to 1.12 acre-feet of groundwater must be dedicated based on the density. The water dedication requirement is one of the major components to development of larger-scale residential projects within the county. This ordinance makes changes to the Churchill County Code to clarify the requirements for this process. 1, it consolidates the water dedication requirements in Title 13 of the Churchill County Code instead of having them split between Title 13 and Title 16. It also clarifies the water dedication requirements for all land development. Specifically, it clarifies how much water is going to be required for dedication in our multifamily scenario, where currently there was some ambiguity in the code. Number 3, it sets the payment in lieu of dedication requirements for all land development. Currently, multifamily and residential is not allowed to do a payment in lieu of dedication. This would allow for that. Number 4, it designates the purpose to which payments may be put. The primary effect of these changes is to create certainty in residential or commercial development calculations regarding the price and availability of water. In return, Churchill County will be charging a small premium for the water dedication payments in lieu to ensure that future water resources can be conserved. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? A motion, please.
I move for consideration Bill 2024-E, Ordinance 71, an ordinance amending Titles 13, 16 of the Churchill County Code.
Second.
The motion for today, this is the first reading, so I just ask that you set a public hearing for this ordinance on January 15th, 2025.
Okay. Being this is the first reading, what day did you want to do that, Joe? Okay. We'll set a date of January 15th for public comment.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 8E, consideration of possible action, ratification of an agreement between Nevada Department of Business and Industry, Housing Division, and Churchill County Social Services in the amount of $23,254.96 for emergency solution grant funding for the homeless assistance, homeless prevention, and other eligible activities. Shannon?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board, and welcome, new commissioners. Look forward to working with you. Before you is a ratification for an agreement. We submit an emergency solutions grant to HUD through the state of Nevada each year. The first year we received this was in 2001, and this is when we used to rent a motel, and so we could take literally homeless from the street and place them there. It was in 2005 that we actually started renting apartments. We found a hotel really did not work because of the other individuals around, and it was better that we did have apartments. So we had 2 apartments until 2017. In 2017, we were not able to rent 2 apartments based on the new fair market rent rates and the amounts that people were getting for rents here. And so we only have had 1 apartment. Since that time, we are working on moving to the New Pass Transitional House and Day Center, which will assist us so that we can take more individuals from the street and get them placed timely. So today I'm just asking for the ratification so we can expend these funds, maintain the apartment, and the case management for our homeless population. Any questions I can answer?
Thank you, Shannon. Any questions or comments from board or staff?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Ms. Ernst, do we serve homeless? When you say homeless, is that any homeless person, or are they only Churchill County residents?
Only Churchill County residents.
And
When we go through our briefing, we will talk about that. Our rules are very clear with here in Churchill. You must be a Churchill County resident, and you must show some kind of income. We are not a shelter. We are a solution-oriented program with full wraparound case management and intense services.
What's the time frame that they're allowed to live there?
We used to be a 2-week program because then we have vouchers to put them out into the community, which is very hard to place them. So now they can be with us up to 6 months until we can get them into a house. But our goal is usually to have them move out of our overall housing programs, because we have 3 total housing programs. We have a rapid rehousing that they go into from this program, is to 3 years, and then they are self-sufficient and stabilized within the community.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, make a motion to approve and ratify the grant agreement as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
As a reminder, letters received C was moved to January 15th. Is there any other letters someone would like to pull?
None for me.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. A, consideration of possible action, adoption of Resolution 1-2025, a resolution establishing the travel expense and substance allowance for Churchill County effective January 1st, 2025, noting per diem change to $68 per day from 59, and a change in mileage rate from 70 cents per mile to 67 cents. Sherry?
Thank you. This is our annual review of our mileage rate, which is set forth by the IRS, and I'm just asking you to approve it and have a resolution for that to move it up to 70 cents per mile, which is a 3-cent increase, and the per diem up to $68 a day, which is up $9 from the $59, please.
Any questions or comments for Sherry? Is there any public comment? Noting none, a motion, please.
I move for approval, adoption of Resolution 1-2025, bumping the 68, bumping it the per diem to $68 and the rate of 70 cents from 67 cents per mile.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Consent items, thank you, Sherry. Consent items, anyone want to pull anything? If not, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Does anyone have anything they want to consider for a future agenda item?
None for me.
Not at this point.
Okay, we'll move on to Commissioner and Management Staff reports. We'll start with you. I guess it's your first day, but pass it off to Matt.
I don't have anything to report yet.
I don't have anything. Eric?
Nothing at this time.
Sherry?
No, thank you.
Joe? Jim? Linda?
Property taxes are due today.
Pam? Crystal? Art, do you have anything you want to add? Okay. Claims and payroll are going around. At this time, this is our last section for public comment. No public comment. We are adjourned. We have department tours following this. 9:45 is our first one at the library.